So we got to figure out a way not only to follow up well, but a way that's really magical. That's staying engaged in a way that makes them feel like you care. And I always say, if you don't care, if people can't see that you care for them as potential clients or even just any relationship, you might be in the wrong field. And so we have to figure out a way to stay engaged in a way that's really, really magical. Welcome to the Sold Out Sales Podcast, the podcast that will equip both the seasoned sales professional and the more reluctant seller with mindset shifts and strategies needed to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Hey there, welcome back to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. It's always my delight to hang out with you all. I'm just so excited to share with you something today that I think is going to be absolutely important for you if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're in the world of sales. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 ways to improve sales conversion. And these are not going to be difficult things to do. These are probably some of what you're doing already. There might be one or two small things that are missing, but I promise you something that I'll share today will be, important for you and easy for you to implement into the way that you're currently doing your business. So if you have some that you'd like to share that I don't mention, drop them in the comments. I love to have this conversation. I don't ever come across like I know it all. I definitely don't, but I want to make sure that if there's something that's working really well for you, then you might share it and our audience might get benefit from it. So I have the producer extraordinaire, Taylor Wellman, in the house with me as well. So I'm going to ask her to chime in because she always has some juicy bits to drop in for us. So I'm going to start with 10 and go backwards because that's always fun, right? So let's go with number 10. So you'll always hear people say that you need to get more leads. Well, after having done for you sales for many years, I found out that people don't necessarily need more leads. They need perfect leads. They need leads that they have attracted very strategically, very intentionally into their business. So they're not getting people who are tire kickers, people who don't have the ability to invest in their the solution that they're providing, or they're just not the right client for that offer. So in order to improve your conversion, you don't need more leads, you need perfect leads. You need the right kind of leads for your business. Do you find that, Taylor, you get a lot of leads and they're not the right leads, or do you feel like you're getting a lot of the perfect leads for your business?
I would say a combination of the two. It depends on where the leads are coming from.
Right there. Yeah.
And so, obviously the referral leads, those are perfect leads. The ones that just come from an ad, it's 50-50. That's where you still need to do that discovery session and see if they really are a good lead or not. Very
true. And that discovery session is an interview to find out if they are. Sometimes we get so excited because we got all these people who are interested in our offer, but the likelihood is that only a small portion of those people will be the right ones. So make sure you put a process in place to get perfect leads and then qualify them to make sure that they are indeed perfect leads. Number 9, speaking of offer, is to optimize your offer to make sure that your offer, number 1, speaks to the person that you are really trying to attract, that it conveys the complete transformation, the results, what it is that you're actually going to, provide for that client, what they're going to experience, how they're going to experience that with you. Sometimes we focus so much on the features and the benefits that people can't see that they need what you have to offer. So optimizing an offer is really making sure that you are providing the details that the person really needs to know to make the right decision. I have what I call an offer optimization. It's kind of like a quiz. It's actually like a form that you fill out that we can actually kind of go through and help you make sure that your offer is optimized and priced well, by the way. So if you're interested in that, drop offer in the comments and I'd be happy to share that link with you and we can kind of go through that together. Okay, number 8 is clearly asking for the sale. So you'd be surprised how many people have sales, quote unquote, sales conversations, go through their entire process, do the whole dog and pony show, really enjoy their conversation, but at the end of the day, they don't actually ask for the sale. And I see it time and time again where people are wondering why either their sales cycle is really long or they're talking to lots of people and they're not converting very many sales. But when I listen to, and I always ask my clients to record their calls. because it gives us, number one, data. Number two, it helps me to be able to give them feedback as to how they can have a better sales call. And so when I listen to the sales call, even though that person thought they asked for the sale, they didn't clearly ask for the sale. And so clearly asking for the sale, which means that needs to be a process in place where people can actually respond and say, yes, they can sign a contract, they can make a deposit or pay your invoice in full, and they can actually begin your onboarding process, because otherwise, if it's fuzzy, it's not closing most of the time. Is there anything about asking for the sale that you have seen in your practice that has been a little bit like not quite what you thought it would be?
Well, yeah, I think it's just about being clear. You need to be clear. You need to take the leadership. You need to be the one, really running those sales meetings. And that's the key. Don't let the sales meeting run itself.
That's the truth. And I think when we try to fly by the seat of our pants without having really clear, even what we said, discovery questions, really clear questions that help people be led through that conversation, it always can be muddy. And again, if it's not muddy, it's not clear. And if it's not clear, it's not closing. So make sure that that's very clear. All right, number 7. This is my favorite one, and I love this one because it's also one of Taylor's genius zones. I say follow up like no one else. And if you're saying things like, whenever you're ready, give me a call, you're missing opportunities, right? You're definitely dropping the ball. And no disrespect, right? I know it happens to the best of us, but there should be such a clear follow-up process so that every single touch is clearly identified. Anyone who's on your team doing sales should know what the frequency should be, what the cadence should look like, what you should be doing in each one of those follow-up touches, so that you don't miss an opportunity just because you missed following up. And like I said, Taylor is the follow-up master. She does such a great job. What are some of the things that you see really have captured business, whereas others might have let it fall through the cracks because of the lack of follow-up?
Yeah, so I would say first, when you're networking, follow up in the first 24 hours.
For sure.
Because if you don't, people forget who you are. There's too many conversations, too much stuff happening. And then, as you mentioned, that cadence of like how often to follow up. A lot of people, I think they do it once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then they give up thinking, oh, they don't need my services. So with our team, I always tell my team to follow up at least 10 times. And if there's no conversation, like if there's no follow-up whatsoever, maybe we'll let them go. Maybe they're not the right fit. But if there's any inkling of, oh, I've been busy with XYZ, well, then the next follow-up, we ask about XYZ, and we gotta keep them along. It almost like resets their follow-up time.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like once someone actually responds, it's like we start them all, it's a fresh start again, really, until they actually either close or we determine they're not an ideal client at all, right? It's not the best fit or the best time for them. But following up is the one thing, believe it or not, it sets you apart because so few people do it well, that just the follow-up causes you to be the person that will be selected for a lot of your, when you're in competition for an opportunity, it's like just follow up like no one else.
Yeah, and it might take years, but even if it takes years, you're like,
you still do it. You still do it. And you're right. And I think that with the influx of so much information, that our follow-up actually, it takes us a little bit longer. So we used to say, a minimum of 10 to 12 touches. That's probably more like 15 at this point because there's so much noise in the marketplace. So be serious about your follow-up. Have you ever gone to a networking event or a conference and found that although you made great connections and you walked away with a stack full of business cards, you still didn't have a real plan for how to get a good return on your investment of both time and money? Well, let me tell you, having a networking and sales planner is a way for you to be more intentional about the way that you network.
Hey, I'm Susan Gladstein. I'm a functional nutrition and metabolism specialist, and I got connected with Tish because she is a rock star at systems and sales, and so I downloaded the planner to help get my brain organized as I went through a rebrand and launched a new course. And it's really helped me sort of get things out of my head and onto paper so that I can actually do follow-ups and not just rely on my brain. So far it's rocking my world and making my business systems that were non-existent actually have some sort of structure. So I love it. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed.
I've been working with sales professionals for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that when they don't have a plan, they do nothing. They sit at their desk and wonder what to do. Well, with this networking and sales planner, you have profit-producing activities for every single day of the week. It tells you where to go, what to say, even gives you prompts as to how to interact with people that you don't know. If you're an introvert and you feel like this isn't for you, I have already thought of you because I understand exactly how introverts think. So this gives you the tools enabling you to be armed with words, with language, so that you can make your networking more profitable.
Hey everyone, Rachel Neighbors here from solo401k.com. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about how awesome this sales networking planner is that Tish put out. So as you can see, I have it on my Remarkable. That's my sort of e-ink planner. And this sales planner has been so helpful for me. So I'm an old school pay-per-click marketer. I do Google ads, Facebook ads, and I know how to turn advertising into profit. But I didn't know how to turn network sales into profit. And when I met Tish, this woman literally wrote the book on networking called, Networking is Not a One-Night Stand. And she's put that experience and that energy and those valuable tips into this networking sales planner. And I just think that it can be so powerful for you in your business. I know it's been really helpful for me and mine. One thing that Tish told me is, Rachel, when you meet someone, put them into your planner and then follow up with them like they're a lead that you've generated on Google Ads or that you followed up with or that you've generated on Facebook. And that has been so helpful and transformative in my business. So thank you, Tish, for this awesome planner.
Maybe you don't even like networking. You say things like, networking doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, when you have a plan in place, you have some intention, and you have the tools to be able to make it work, you will see a different result. My new networking and sales planner is a game changer. It's the difference between you going to an event, wandering around and walking away without any purpose and without any new money, and walking into an event with a plan, with a purpose, and being able to convert new clients into your business. No one wants to feel inauthentic and pushy or even salesy when following up. So frequently we just don't do it at all. Well, the profitable follow-up formula, which is in the back of your networking and sales planner, will give you the tools and the language and the frequency with which you should be following up so that it feels very authentic. It feels genuine and natural both to you and to the people that you're reaching out to. Go to tishtimes.com/planner to get your digital or physical version of your planner.
Hi, my name is Cheryl James from CL James Consulting, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how awesome this networking sales planner is. I started intentionally networking at the beginning of this year, and I have been using my planner on a regular basis, not only to get inspiration, but to track the people I want to meet and the people I have met, and to make sure that I follow up with them from week to week. So if you are looking to network intentionally and hold yourself accountable, this planner is a must-have.
And once you get your planner, you'll also receive a video series that's going to teach you how to maximize your networking and how to use this planner to get the best result and best return on your investment of both time and money. If you are ready to stop wasting time with networking and turn your networking into a sales machine, then go to tishtimes.com/planner and grab your networking and sales planner. All right, number 6, I think we're. Make your sales process an experience that people want more of. When we make our sales process clunky and it doesn't feel good and it feels like we're really being really aggressive in the way that we're communicating with people, they don't want to be a part of that. But if they feel seen, they feel understood, if you're addressing the issue that they brought to the table, if you're creating for them or supplying them with the resources that they need to get to their next step in whatever, what they're trying to accomplish, it's a different type of process and people want more of it, right? If you feel like you're chasing people all the time, I would really admonish you to take a look at the process that you're creating, because if you can make an experience great for people to, to participate in. Believe it or not, even if they're having to spend money to participate, they want more of it. Think about this. How many times do people pay to go to a conference year after year after year, right? How many times I know for us, when we do our roundtables, people will reach out and say, hey, when's that next one? I want to participate. I want to be on your wait list. And so if you create an environment where people want to participate, they'll want to come back, even if they have to put the money into it to be able to do it. So I'm going to keep this train moving because I want to make sure we get through all of these. Number 5, stay engaged in a way that creates magic. So we talked about the follow-up, but you want to stay engaged with that person. Sometimes the best salespeople have made this mistake. And what that might be is when that person's not ready to buy in that moment, you're just like, okay, next. And you stop engaging and you almost treat them like you didn't want to pay me right now, so I don't have any use for you. And I know that's not necessarily that's not the intention, I'm sure, but it can come across that way. So we got to figure out a way not only to follow up well, but a way that's really magical. That's staying engaged in a way that makes them feel like you care. And I always say, if you don't care, if people can't see that you care for them as potential clients or even just any relationship, you might be in the wrong field. And so we have to figure out a way to stay engaged in a way that's really, really magical. All right, this one is probably the most important, even though it's not number 1. Metrics, metrics, metrics. So you can't multiply what's not being measured. And so many times we're wondering why our sales conversions are slow or non-existent. We're not measuring where people are coming from. We're not measuring the place where we probably should spend more time. And we're playing over here when all of our people are playing over there. And so if we're not measuring that, if we're not measuring what networking events are really providing the majority of our ideal prospective clients, if we're not measuring how many, people are really engaging with us on social media, how many people are opening up our emails, how many people are saying yes to this offer, but not to that offer. So metrics, 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 that's a whole class all by itself. But know this, if you're not measuring and really paying attention to what's working and what's not working in your sales process, I promise you're missing opportunities and probably focusing on the wrong thing, right? So metrics are a huge one. This is one I want to hear from Taylor on. Put your technology to work. So automate processes, making sure that you're getting through the sales process in a way that doesn't require all of your touches. What are some of the ways you use technology in your sales process?
Well, video is a way to clone yourself. And so people retain more information given in a video. It's a way to have your exact messaging, perfected in video form that can go across all platforms.
Yes.
But you don't need to be on every platform. So that's another thing about, again, measuring where is your audience and where should you actually spend your time to duplicate yourself.
I'm just saying, use your technology, make the process easy for you and easy for them. Speaking of which, number 2, I was like, what number are we on? Make it easy for people to buy from you. I had a client recently that when we examined her sales process when she first started working with us, I was like, girl, you are making it so hard for people to have to buy. If you have to go through 15 steps to be able to say yes, that's too many, right? So make it easy for people to buy from you. Really look at your process and find out where you might be creating bottlenecks and making it difficult for people to say yes to you. And number 1, become the person your perfect person needs, your perfect ideal client. So understand who that person is. Know who I always say, who are you uniquely gifted to serve? And focus on that person so you can be the person that person is really looking for. You can serve at a high level. You can be completely, genuinely, sincerely yourself. Make it fun for you, make it fun for them, get them what they need. So I hope that those tips were helpful. Again, if you have some that I didn't mention, drop them in the comments. Let's have a conversation. If you want that optimized offer, that I mentioned, that form, drop offer in the comments. I'll send it over to you and I'll get your email address. I can send it over to you, but I'd love to be able to be of service. So thank you so much for being with us today and at the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I would be so appreciative if you would show me and my amazing guests some love by leaving a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, go over to tishtimes.com facebook.com/resource page and make sure you pick up your sales and networking handbook, especially for introverts. Also, I'd love to continue this conversation, so make sure you connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll see you back here next week.